How you going, guys? Back in the shed here with the Massey Harris 25, continuing on from the other week. You would have seen, if you watched the first one, we got the head off and we're pretty happy with the condition this tractor's actually in. So the next step is actually going to be to jack it up. We've got a couple of tyres for the rear, we've got one for the front, we probably need another one because they're both knackered. But we need to jack it up, put it on stand, start getting the wheels apart, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got the rear end of the tractor jacked up, still got to do the front. It's probably somewhere near where its eventual height will be once it's got tyres on it. This thing will run 14.928 on the back. Nothing special going on here. All I did was use the bottle jack, jacked up as high as I could, put some blocks under it, and then blocked up the jack. Did that a couple of times until I was able to get the stands under it. So that's pretty simple. We're going to do the same with the front. Just a word for anyone who's doing this. Tractors pivot on the front axle, so if you jack from the center at the back like I was, you really need to put a block of wood or something in here to stop them. This one's got stops here, so if you can have it so it'll rest against one side or the other, that way it won't try and topple over when you got it in the air, and you don't want anything falling off a bottle jack. So all right, now we'll move over to the front. We'll get the front. Obviously, it doesn't have to go anywhere near as high, so we'll get it jacked up high enough so we can get the tyres off it, and we'll go from there. So here it is, sitting up at about the level it will when it's done. Might be a little bit higher than what it's supposed to be, but that'll give us room to get the tyres on, which is good. So now it's time to work on getting the wheels apart so we can get some tyres on it. This tractor would have originally been on steel wheels and it's been converted to rubber. In fact, the front wheels are actually the original steel wheels, and they would have cut all the spokes off and then welded that rim on for a rubber tyre. But the back one, you can actually see, if you look here, it was made by Miller makers of Horsham. Horsham's the town where this tractor came from. So it's even got a build date of May 8, no idea what year, but the tractors are 37. I'd imagine these were probably made sometime in the early 40s. So yeah, these are a bolt together cast iron rim. You have to split them. There's no way of stretching a tyre over these. You've got to split them in two, and by undoing this row of bolts, and yeah, so you take the outer rim off, and that way you can put a tyre and tube on it. The front is more conventional, where you just stretch a tyre over it. So I'm going to get going on pulling them apart. Hopefully they're not too seized. I'll get a bit of WD-40 on them and get them to start wanting to separate. Alright, so as you can see, this is not a quick way of doing it, but rubber is that thick and that hard. There's not much else we'll be able to do, I don't think. I don't have a reciprocating saw. If I did, I'd probably use that. It'd probably work a bit better. But I just got to keep at it and go. So we're continuing on with the 25. Last part of the video you would have seen was last week. So we're back in here in the shed again. Dad's here with me tonight. I've just managed to pull that front tyre off. You saw me in the time lapse, I was cutting it apart because they are just so hard and so old that they just will not come apart the normal way. So it's off now, which is good. Dad's working on this back rim here to get the outer edge off. So what he's doing is he's just got it to start splitting. You probably can't quite see it in the video, but basically he's just working around, beating it with a hammer and trying to get a screwdriver in, just doing whatever he has to do because it's a bit rusted. And to get the outer rim off, the outer edge of the rim off, and we'll start fitting the tyre. All right, here we are. We're starting to make some progress. You can actually see the gap there now in the rim. What we're using, we used a screwdriver to start with. It's a bit skinnier. Now we're going to use this cold chisel, straight in there with a hammer, and it's going to keep pushing it apart. So we'll keep going at that, and hopefully next time you're seeing this, the rim will be off. So here's the outer rim off. As you can see, we've got a bit of just a bit of dirt and a bit of corrosion in around here. We'll give that all a good clean with the wire wheel. We'll give the rim a good clean. Here it is. It's basically a flat disc with a, it's half a rim, I guess. So it's a flat disc. That hole in it is mainly just so you can access the tyre valve easily. And then, yeah, so we're going to clean up all these bolts, clean up the rim, clean up the outer rim, and start looking at putting a tyre on, see if we can get one on tonight. So we changed our minds. We were going to try and fit the tyre onto the rim while it was standing up, and we decided that that was going to be too hard. So we took the rim off the hub. We're lucky with these. A lot of Masseys, their rim mounts straight to the tapered axle, which makes them quite difficult to get off. But this one is set up with a hub. So essentially undid the 8 bolts, and it was actually quite tight on this here lip. So we had to beat it off, but it came off reasonably well. We'll give it all a clean up, obviously, and should go back on easy enough. So here it is on the ground. We've got it sitting on a block of wood just to raise the rim up a bit so the tyre can sit down. These tyres, obviously second-hand, and they were on a much more modern tractor with much wider rims. Typical of these old tractors, they all had sort of 8-inch wide rims, no matter how big the tyre was. So we're going to have to really pinch down around the bead to get them on, which is why it will be easier to do it laying down like this. So now we're going to get started and do some sweating and some cursing and go from there. All right, so what you would have seen the time lapse there, what we did was we dropped the tyre onto the rim. As I said, the rim's got a block of wood under it to sort of hold it up, prop it up, so the tyre could fall down over it. Then we've put the tube inside the tyre, and then we've actually made sure we tucked it right down so it was completely out of the way of the joint, because if it overlaps the joint, you've got the chance of when you put the outer rim on and bolt together, you pinch the tube and you ruin the tube. So what we do is we've got this made up, which screws onto the valve stem, and that way we can now pull it through. We're not going to pull it through just yet because we actually want to bolt the rim together properly and get it tightened up, and then we'll pull the valve through once it's all tightened up, and hopefully then we can put some air in it, and essentially this tyre's done. We move on to the other side. So here we go. Got it all on there. Got some air in the tyre. Next step, obviously, stand it up, put it back on the tractor. Dad's just going to get us some dinner, but once he gets back, we will stand it up, put it back on the tractor, bolt it on, and then work on the other side. Okay, we got the that one wheel sorted out tonight. We also got that front tyre off, which was good. So yeah, we got it all mounted back up. Just 2 of us to stand it up, obviously. Bloody heavy thing that it is, but So stood it up, put the bolts back in the rim, and got it all sitting up. I think it looks pretty good sitting up on the tyre. It sticks out past the guard. That's just sort of how they are. Now I just move on to the other one. Just got to get it off the tractor. It'll take some beating, but that'll be the next thing to do. Here we are under the front tyres. We had the new front tyres come in. We managed to we ended up buying a brand new set because we couldn't find any second hand. If we had to hang around longer, we probably could have, but we just were a bit impatient. So brand new set of 750/18 front tyres and tubes. So what we're going to do here is we'll grab the grinder out with the wire wheel on it, and we'll clean up all this scale. It's a bit hard to see in the video, but you can see there's a heap of scale here, and we'll clean all that off, and then we can start fitting these front tyres. So we got the tyre halfway on. I didn't show you the video of me struggling because I am not a very good tyre fitter, so I struggled way more than I probably should have. But anyway, so we got the tyre on. Now we'll unfold the tube, get it sitting inside the tyre. There's the hole there, so we'll obviously pull the stem through and then pop the other side of the bead on. So here we are, got both front tyres on. As you saw, we slipped the tyre on, stuffed the tube in, and we popped the outer bead on and inflated it, of course. Obviously being very careful not to pinch the tube, but as I said, I'm not a tyre fitter, but we've sort of learnt to do this ourselves. Some of these old rims, these ones probably wouldn't have been too bad, but some of these old tractor rims, especially probably these split rims at the back, tyre joints don't really want anything to do with them. I don't know if they're necessarily dangerous, but they are quite heavy and cumbersome. So we got these front ones, so it backs up sitting high on its wheels again, and it's back to looking like it should. That last rear tyre, Dad's not with me tonight. I don't want to have to lift that rim off on my own because it is, I hate to think how heavy it is. But yeah, so pretty stoked. Got both front tyres on today. And yeah, so once we get a rear tyre on, we'll be ready to dig into the engine and whatnot. Alright, so I got Dad in the shed with me tonight. We got the wheel off. As I said, it was too heavy for me to lift on my own, so I got it off. Got it cleaned up with the just the wire disc on the grinder there. Not getting too carried away, just cleaning up the studs and where the tyre sits, and on the outer rim as well, and also all in here because it's sort of a fairly tight fit in around here, which obviously fits into here, which is what makes your rim all bolt together smoothly. So yeah, cleaned all that up. Now we're going to put a tyre on it. Well, let's go. Put the wheel on. All right. Now we're going to try and stand the bloody thing up. Let's start. One. Oh, jeez. 1, 2, 3. I did put the tyre on the right way. That's good. I would have felt stupid if I didn't.
Every time I do all my freaking checking,
Well, I'm going to do more work.
because they're directional at work.
The drive tyre hasn't got directional. Not all the time, yeah.
The ones I've bought are directional.
No, they're not. They're not. Tell by the tread pattern, they're not.
No, I didn't think they were.
Look.
Let's do one more.
Right, so we're a bit high.
Yep, I've set that
I'm
jack
going
up.
to jack it up a little bit,
Yep.
pull the stand out,
Yep.
and then we'll,
Then you can let it go down until the tyre lays back on it.
yes, and then we'll pick the tyre up.
Then you lift it up a little bit. You're lifting the wheel now.
Yep, that's all right. I just got it high enough to get the stand out. All right, the stand's out. So I'm going to try and go down as gently as I
You've
can.
got blocks of wood under.
Yeah, but there's an 1.5 inch clearance.
Okay. You
So-
might need all of that, so.
That'll be right.
Steady.
All right.
That's That's it.
onto the thing. Do we need to turn it before you get too carried away?
We do, but I'm just trying to see if I can get a screwdriver in it all.
Well, I can just do it from back here though. I can turn the, if you give me a couple of bolts, I'll be able to turn that hub.
Where do we put the
They're
bolts?
down here on the bottom shelf of the thing. Just 2 bolts. Grab the pry bar, which I think's behind me. Yep.
It's got to go.
Yeah, I can see the holes.
It's just got to go backwards a little bit, really, if you can do that.
Should be pretty close there.
Whoa.
Let me push the bolts through. There you go, that's 1 bolt. Two bolts are in. I can put them all in before we try and lift it.
Just take a little bit more weight on it.
On the jack, yep.
Yeah. And then see if you can get one of those bolts through far enough to get another one.
Well, give me another bolt and I'll go one of the top ones where they're closer. So.
It's just not quite.
It's just
It's just a 15th. Lift it up a little bit more. It's just, that's it. I'd lift it up a bit more now.
Yeah.
It's still sitting down a little bit. Lifting the whole tractor or?
yeah.
Because the problem is
We just need to get bolt.
the wheels cock, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
so that's one.
There you go. That one on that side, if you can knock it all the way through.
They are all the way through.
Okay, well then,
We just need to go first.
we need to take a bit more weight up
Yeah.
so that it can go back on.
Yeah, that's what it was good. There you go. Off the ground now. Alright, so let me just knock that bolt in because we've got a thing on
Now
there.
you can get another one now.
Cool. Start putting nuts on. They're just shit. As you saw just then, what we did was we jacked the tractor up a little bit just to get the jack stand out, and we actually lowered the tractor down so that the center of the hub, or the center of the wheel, would actually sit over the lip of the hub. Saves us actually trying to lift the wheel up, and then we just lined the bolt holes up, put a couple of bolts through, gave the wheel a wiggle, and now it's on there. So now it's just a case of putting all the bolts back through, tightening them up, and we can put it on the ground.
Yeah, because it has bolts, not studs. So.
Yes, bolts that go through from the back, so which is actually pretty simple because if there's ever an issue, you can literally just buy new bolts and stick them through the hole.
Yeah.
So we got the tyres all fitted up to the 25. I think it looks really good. Stands up really tall. Gives you an appreciation of how big the tractor actually is. As you can see in a future video that I've already started filming, I started pulling the guards and stuff off. I was waiting for Dad to be available to help. Wait for our schedules to line up. But yeah, we're pretty happy. So it's got 750 by 18 inch front tyres and 14.9 by 28 rear tyres. So yeah, I think it all stands up pretty good. And now that we can move around the workshop a bit easier, we'll be able to start tearing into it properly, and we'll get this engine and transmission out. And yeah, so keep tuned for further episodes. We'll keep ripping into this thing slowly, and subscribe, like, hit the bell, all the normal YouTube stuff. Thanks for watching, guys.